We were discussing this yesterday, Brian, about this possible retreat. What I'm kind of curious about is the BOJ only bought ETFs 3 times last year. So why do they need to actually formally axe or abandon this?
Yeah, good morning. That's a great question. I think they've in some ways they've already kind of sent a signal that they're moving that direction. So as you said, they only bought 3 times last year, and then earlier this week we saw the Nikkei fall plunge in the morning session 2%, and the BOJ refrained from buying ETFs on that day. That was a break from past policy and probably a signal that indeed it's thinking about cutting off all new purchases. Of course, then the next question is going to be what they do with the massive holdings that they've built up since launching this program in 2010. Those holdings now value at about 70 trillion yen, which is equivalent to about 1 year's worth of national tax income. So that's going to be something the BOJ will be talking about. But what we've heard from the BOJ so far is that they're not going to worry so much about coming up with a solution for handling existing assets immediately. They're going to think more about other parts of policy when they make their review on Monday and Tuesday.
And of course, in the meantime, we continue to wait for the wages data, right? We've had some pretty positive signals out of Toyota, but we're still waiting on that tally that will get to us by Friday.
Yeah, the excitement in Tokyo is palpable. All the signs we're seeing look to point towards big wage increases. Rengo, of course, comes out with the overall tally on Friday, but we had some members of Rengo. Rengo's a big collection of unions, and a number of unions actually came out with their agreements yesterday, and they were all around 5% or more, and that points to the possibility. I don't know if the final tally would quite be that high, but it's definitely it looks like it's going towards the high 4s at least, and that would, of course, be the biggest wage gains in more than 30 years. It would be a pace of wage gain that exceeds inflation for the first time in a long time. That could send a signal to consumers that they can feel more confident about buying, and that in turn probably sends the go signal to the BOJ that its virtuous cycle of wages and prices is actually coming to fruit right now, and I think that's what they're going to talk about next week.